Nothing else can be considered a living hell to an author than writer's block. You get irritated, or agitated, sometimes even both. You start to lose enthusiasm to write, and then, if you're anything like me, you go off on a tangent. I had a book due the following week for my publisher, but no stories came to mind. Sitting at my desk, I stared at a blank Word document plastered on my monitor. Hours went by, and I simply sat there twiddling with my thumbs, or playing with any other object I could find. At some point, I had enough of staring at a blank screen, and opened up the web browser to check my email. Sure enough, there was an email sent by my publisher. It read, "Daniel, you have 6 days left to turn in a full book. I still haven't seen any progress, you know. If I don't get the book on my desk by Friday, then I'm afraid we're going to have to let you go. I do apologize, but that's just business. No hard feelings. I'll be expecting you Friday, no later than 12 p.m. Sebastian." All caps. Very professional, Sebastian, I had thought. At this point, however, I was in no mood to write. Looking at my inbox, I saw that I was flooded with email after email, and tons of spam. I became enthralled by the tremendous amounts of emails collected over the years. One after another, I kept lurking through the pile of spam and old emails, sent from when I was just in my early adulthood. I'm 32 now, but noticed emails from when I was 22. It seems I never bothered to delete any. I wasn't surprised, as I wasn't exactly the most industrious person. I was looking over some of the older emails I had received, and found some interesting ones. I found old pictures of people I used to hang out with. I found photos of me at the pool, with my ex-girlfriend. Even found some photos of my recently deceased mother. She was smiling with my younger brother, who at the time was 10. This made me happy. I gave one more glimpse at my mother's photo, and decided to close it, and look to the rest of the mail. Sifting through the spam and old angry girlfriend letters, I found one that caught my eye. The reason it caught my attention in the first place was because it was listed as unknown. I was very confused, mainly because all the other mail in my inbox had the sender's email listed. Curiosity took the best of me, and I decided to open it. In it had 2 images, and the subject of the email read, "Especially for you, Daniel." I glanced downward and began to read the letter, although I'm not even sure if you could classify it as a letter because it was so short. But it read, "Daniel, I got the pictures of the girl you like. Take a look." I opened up the pictures, and in both stood a woman with gorgeous eyes. She was of average size, brunette, and had a nice smile. She was pretty, there's no denying that. However, I never met this woman in my life before, so I figured it was probably just one of my old college roommates, who had tried to pull some kind of prank on me while I was still living with him. I closed the email, and as I moved my mouse to the profile to log out, I noticed that the following 5 emails were all from the same sender. What exactly was this person trying to accomplish, I wondered. Yet again, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to open the next email. This one read, "Daniel, she is very pretty, and has the softest of skin. Tell me, when do you want to meet her? I am free any day, except for Sunday and Monday." The email also contained one image. It was the same girl, lying on an artistic backdrop, full of rose petals, and in a bikini. I thought she was a model. She had all the features of one, and the photo was taken extremely well. It was as if she was posing for a summer shoot. At this point, I came to the conclusion that this could not have been taken by any of my college roommates, as they were all crappy at taking photos. I went to the next email, and this had 3 images embedded into it. "Daniel, she is getting very worked up, and really wants to meet you. Look, I took her clothes off for you. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to test her out. Consider it a favor. I'll tell you if she's worth your time." This one made me feel kind of anxious. The wording just really threw me off. The past 2 emails seemed like someone who was merely introducing me to some girl, as some sort of matchmaker. The fact he said, "Test her out for you," that made me queasy. What did he mean, test her out for me? His mood from the last 2 emails completely shifted. It was as if he were trying to sell her to me. I opened the pictures without hesitation, and like before, there was the same woman. She was exempt from any clothes. I skimmed from the first to the next photo, and the girl was crying. The third gave me chills. She was on top of some medieval-looking table, one limb tied to one leg. She looked as if she were in deep pain. I could tell from the agonizing look on her face to the slightly visible burn marks on her wrist, left behind by the rope used to tie her down. In shock, I moved my mouse over to the close window button. That's enough. I was done for the day. It was late, and I had no intention of viewing any more of those sadistic emails. I was going to delete them the following day, and had no intention of viewing the last 3. I closed my eyes in bed, waiting for sleep to befall me, but to no avail. My body refused to go to sleep, and my mind was clouded with the bombarding image of that poor girl. It was 1 a.m. now, and without the tiniest sliver of sleep, I got up and went to see the last bit of emails. I opened up the next, and it had a video included. Dear Daniel, I want to show you what you're getting for what you paid. She is quite the wild ride. So reply when you want to meet her, and hurry soon. She is getting relentless. My neighbors are starting to get suspicious. I began to sweat, and my body began to tremble. I clicked on the video and was instantly met with discomfort. The girl laid flat, facing the camera, and the man began to crawl over her. She was screaming and contorting in agony. I began to feel nauseous, as the man kept violating her. Then she began to whimper, and though most of her cries were inaudible, the one phrase I did manage to understand sent chills down my spine. I closed down the video and rushed to grab a drink of water. I came back, and still shaken up, sat in my chair looking at the next email in my inbox. I couldn't muster the courage to open it, and sat there for what seemed like ages. I pushed myself to open the next, and it read, Dear Daniel, you took too long. I had to dispose of the girl. I opened the image that came with it, and rushed to the bathroom at full speed. I began to vomit, and spat out everything I had to eat the previous night for dinner. I sat at the corner of my bathroom, drenched by a cold sweat. I was breathing heavily, to the point I had to grab my inhaler. I never had to use the thing for 12 years. That image of that poor girl in the ground is something that will never leave my subconscious. The shape in which she was in was unnatural, almost alien-like, to the point which I could only describe it as grotesque. I cried for a short time, not because I was scared, but because I subjected myself to such horror. At least that's what I think. I was sitting in nothing but my underwear, only to remember that there was one email left. I got up and made my way over to my desktop. I closed out the horrific image and opened up the last email. Dear Daniel, I apologize for the inconvenience. The emails were meant to be sent to a client of mine, coincidentally named Daniel. I must have entered the wrong email address, and you have gotten all of his emails. According to my sent emails, you have yet to open any of the past emails. Regardless, do not open them, for if you do, I'm afraid I have to have a discussion with my superiors as to what to do with you. It's been a pleasure. I was left in utter shock. Whoever this was had sent those sadistic emails to the wrong person. I was contemplating what to do next for the longest time. Really, I amounted to one conclusion: sleep. I took some sleeping pills and drifted away into a deep slumber. What did I do next? Simply put, nothing. I did not call the cops for 2 reasons in particular. 1. These emails were sent nearly 10 years ago, and by now, the statute of limitations would have taken over, meaning if I reported the email, the police would not have done anything. Under California law, the prosecution has up to 6 years after commission of the offense to prosecute you for any crime carrying 8 years or more in prison. This includes manslaughter. Number 2, I still had a book to write. I used what I witnessed to write the book. In fact, it is coming out next week, already listed as a New York Times bestseller. I took the poor girl's traumatic events, even her death, and described them in the book. No one would be ever the wiser, and no one would have cared. At least I hope so, for my sanity. Do I know this was a bad thing? Yes. Am I going to hell to tango with Satan? Hell, I'm probably damned. However, in these tough times, we all have to give a bit of ourselves to make it in today's society.